My name is Iris Archer, and I am 33 years old. 2 weeks ago, my mother rang my doorbell. First time in 9 years. She stood on my porch in a beige cardigan with a carry-on suitcase and a folded piece of paper. The paper was not an apology. It was a list. Handwritten. Blue ink. Bullet points. Every bullet had a dollar sign. Total. $925,000. She did not say she was sorry. She did not ask about her grandchildren. She said, "We need to talk about the family's future." But here is what my mother did not know. I had been keeping a list of my own for 9 years. Every birthday card she returned, every voicemail she ignored, every text message my sister sent about me behind my back. 29 items, all labeled, all dated, all filed in a navy blue binder that I kept in the bottom drawer of my desk. She brought a list of what she wanted. I brought a list of what she did. Before we get into this, if you are new here, please take a moment to like and subscribe. It helps more than you know. And while you are at it, drop a comment telling me where you are watching from and what time it is where you are. I love reading those. Let me take you back to the summer I turned 24. The summer my family told me I was no longer one of them. Millfield, Ohio. Population, 2,000 and change. One Baptist church. One barbershop. One diner where every booth smelled like coffee and bacon grease no matter what time you walked in. That was my town. My whole world until I was 18. My father, Kenneth, worked at the lumber yard on Route 7 for 31 years. Same shift, same boots, same quiet nod when he came through the door at 5:42 every evening. My mother, Diane, ran the household and the church women's committee with equal precision. She organized the Easter brunch. She coordinated the prayer chain. She decided who brought what to every potluck, and nobody argued. My sister Paige was 4 years younger and everything I was not. Loud, confident. The kind of girl who got voted homecoming queen and acted surprised. Mom adored her. Dad called her Sunshine. I was the quiet one, the one who did the dishes without being asked, and scored perfect on every math test and never got a party for either. I do not say this with bitterness. I say it because you need to understand the math. In our family, love was a budget, and Paige was the line item that always got funded first. When I was 18, I got a scholarship to Ohio State. Full ride. I was the first Archer to go to college. Mom packed my suitcase and slipped a card inside, the kind with flowers on the front and her handwriting on the back. "Come home soon. You belong here." I kept that card for 15 years. It is still in my desk drawer, right next to the navy binder. The card was the last kind thing she ever wrote me. I met Marcus Ellison in advanced statistics, spring semester of my junior year. He sat 2 rows ahead of me and solved regression problems like he was reading a grocery list. Calm, methodical, never rushed. He was an engineering major, computer science minor, on a partial scholarship from Cleveland. His mother, Cora, was a retired school librarian. His father, white, from the suburbs, left when Marcus was 4. Cora raised him alone. She worked 2 jobs until Marcus turned 16, and then she worked 1 job and volunteered at 3. Marcus was biracial. He had his mother's eyes and his father's jawline, and this way of listening that made you feel like everything you said actually mattered. Our first date was at a taco truck near campus. He paid with crumpled singles. I paid with quarters. We split a horchata and talked until the truck closed. He told me he wanted to build something. He did not know what yet, but something that solved a real problem. I told him I wanted a job where the numbers meant something. He said, "Then, we are in the right field." We dated for 3 years before he proposed. 3 quiet, steady, unremarkable years. He met my parents twice. The first time, Mom smiled too wide and called him Michael instead of Marcus. The second time, she called him Marcus, but did not look at him when she said it. Both times, Dad shook his hand and said almost nothing. I told myself it was nerves, small-town people. They just needed time. Paige was the honest one. At Thanksgiving, she leaned over and whispered, "He is nice, but Mom is never going to be okay with this. You know that, right?" I did not know that. Not yet. Marcus proposed on a Tuesday. No ring at first, just a conversation at our kitchen table in our tiny apartment near campus. He said, "I want to spend my life with you. I want to build something with you. Will you let me?" I said yes before he finished the sentence. I called home that night. Mom picked up on the third ring. I told her. The line went quiet for 7 seconds. I counted. "You need to think about what this means for this family, Iris. Not congratulations. Not, tell me about the ring." A warning. Dad got on the extension. He cleared his throat twice and said nothing. 2 days later, Paige texted, "Mom has been crying since you called. Are you happy now?" I was, actually, for the first time in years. But I did not reply that. 2 weeks after the call, a letter arrived. Not an email. Not a text. A letter. Handwritten. Diane Archer's cursive on cream-colored stationery. She wrote 4 paragraphs. The last one said, "If you go through with this, you are choosing him over your family. We cannot support this. We will not attend. And if you walk down that aisle, do not expect to walk back through our door. He is not one of us, Iris. He never will be." That was the line. She drew it in blue ink on cream stationery, and she expected me to stand on her side of it. I read the letter 3 times, folded it, put it in a manila folder. I did not know why I kept it. Something in me, the part that files receipts and labels bank statements, told me to hold on to it. I held on. We got married at the Multnomah County Courthouse on a Saturday in June. 12 guests, all friends, all Marcus's side. His mother, Cora, flew in from Cleveland with a garment bag and a Tupperware of pound cake. She pinned a silk flower to my dress and held both my hands and said, "Welcome to the family, baby." No father walked me down the aisle. There was no aisle. There was a hallway with fluorescent lights, and a judge who pronounced our names wrong, and a reception at a Thai restaurant, where we pushed 4 tables together and Marcus's college roommate gave a toast that made everyone laugh so hard Cora spilled her water. My dress cost $160 from a consignment shop on Hawthorne. White, simple, fit perfectly. Marcus wore a navy suit he bought on clearance. We looked like 2 people who had just done the most important thing of our lives on a budget. Because we had. That night, in our apartment, I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the bouquet, grocery store roses, $6, and my hands shook. Not from doubt, from grief. I had just gotten married, and the 2 people who raised me did not care enough to watch. 1 week later, I mailed a card to Millfield. Inside, our wedding photo, Marcus and me on the courthouse steps, grinning. I wrote, "We are happy. I hope you can be happy for us someday." The card came back 11 days later, stamped in red, returned to sender. I stared at that stamp for a long time, then I opened the manila folder, put the card inside, wrote in red pen, "Item 2, wedding photo, returned." That was the beginning of the binder. Year 1 was the hardest. I called Mom 4 times, voicemail every time. I left messages, short, careful. The kind where you choose every word because you know it might be the last one she ever listens to. "Hi, Mom. Just calling to say hi. We are doing well. Marcus got a job at a software company downtown. I am studying for the CPA exam. I miss you. Call me back whenever you are ready." She never called back. I sent a card for her birthday, a card for Dad's birthday, a card for Christmas. All 3 came back with the same red stamp. Dad sent 1 text. February. 4 words. "Your mother needs time." That was it. No follow-up, no second text. The 4 words sat in my phone like a voicemail I could not delete. Paige posted a family photo on Facebook that spring. Mom, Dad, Paige, Paige's boyfriend at the time. All smiling. Captioned, "Sunday dinner with my people." I was not in the photo. I had never been invited. I printed the screenshot. Not to torture myself. I printed it because I had started doing something I could not explain. Filing things. Every returned card, every unanswered call log, every piece of evidence that my family had decided I no longer existed. I put them in the manila folder, and by March, the folder was thick enough that I transferred everything into a binder. Navy blue, 3-ring, tabs. He is not one of us. Her voice played in my head at strange moments. In the grocery store, at the dentist, at 2 in the morning when Marcus was asleep, and the apartment was dark. I wanted the words to stop hurting. They did not stop. But they got quieter. The binder got thicker. By year 2, Marcus quit his job. Not recklessly. He had a plan. For 6 months, he had been building a prototype on nights and weekends, a compliance platform for small businesses, the kind of software that made SEC filings and financial audits less painful for companies that could not afford a legal team. He knew compliance. I knew finance. Between the two of us, we understood the exact problem nobody else wanted to solve: making regulatory paperwork manageable for companies with fewer than 50 employees. He set up a desk in our garage, 2 monitors, a space heater, and a whiteboard he bought at Goodwill for $12. I came home from my analyst job every evening, heated up leftover soup, and sat next to him reviewing financial models until midnight. I built the pricing structure. I wrote the compliance checklists. I tested every module against real SEC guidelines. Marcus built the engine. I built the dashboard. Neither of us slept enough. Compliance Core launched 7 months later with 4 customers and a free trial that crashed twice on the first day. That year, I also did something else. I upgraded the binder. The manila folder was overflowing. Returned cards, voicemail transcripts, 1 Facebook screenshot, and the original ultimatum letter on cream stationery. I bought a proper binder. Navy blue, 3-ring, dividers for each year. Red pen labels on every item. Tab 1, Year 1, 7 items. I was not building a case. I was not planning revenge. I was doing what I had always done: keeping records. Because I was a financial analyst, and financial analysts do not throw away documentation. Ever. But I did start numbering the items. And I did start writing the date on each one. Because numbers do not lie. And neither would I. Liam and Sophie arrived on a Wednesday morning in November. 6 pounds each. Identical dark curls. Sophie screamed for 4 hours straight. Liam slept through all of it. Marcus cried. I had never seen him cry before. He held Sophie in his left arm and Liam in his right, and stood by the hospital window and said, "They are going to know they are loved. Every single day." Cora flew in the next morning. She stayed 2 weeks. She cooked. She cleaned. She rocked Liam at 3 in the morning while I fed Sophie. She brought a blanket she had crocheted, yellow and white, soft enough to make you cry, and a silver bracelet for each baby, engraved with their birthdays. That was what a grandmother looked like. I had sent Diane the ultrasound photos 5 months earlier. Returned. I sent birth announcements, 2 cards, 1 for each twin. Returned. I sent photos. Liam sleeping on Marcus's chest, Sophie gripping my finger. Returned. 3 items added to the binder. Items 13, 14, 15. Paige texted someone we both knew from high school. The mutual friend screenshotted it and sent it to me without comment. Paige's text read, "Her children don't have real grandparents. That is what she chose." I sat in the nursery with that text on my screen for 11 minutes. Sophie was asleep in the crib. Liam was in my arms. I could hear Cora in the kitchen, humming something low and sweet while she washed bottles. My children had a grandmother. Her name was Cora Ellison, and she flew from Cleveland every 6 weeks and never once missed a birthday. I printed Paige's text, filed it. Item 16, red pen, dated. By year 4, the binder had 19 items. I want to be clear about something. I did not keep that binder out of spite. I did not flip through it at night, fueling some fantasy of confrontation. Most weeks, I forgot it existed. It sat in the bottom drawer of my desk, behind tax folders and old insurance documents, collecting dust. But every time something arrived, a returned card, a forwarded screenshot, a voicemail transcript I saved because deleting it felt like erasing proof, I filed it. Same process. Print. Label. Date. Red pen. Tab. Marcus asked me once, "Why do you keep all of that?" I told him the truth. Because someday, when the kids are old enough, they might ask why they do not have grandparents on my side, and I want them to have facts. Not my version, not her version. The receipts. He nodded. He understood receipts. He was an engineer. Engineers keep build logs. By then, Compliance Corps had 11 employees. We had moved out of the garage into a real office in the Pearl District. Marcus worked 60 hours a week. I worked 40 at my firm and 20 more on Compliance Corps' books. We hired a part-time nanny for the twins. We ate dinner together every night at 6:30, non-negotiable. The silence from Ohio had become a fact of life, like weather. Some days I noticed it. Most days I did not. Cora visited every 6 weeks. The twins called her Grammy. She taught Liam how to make grilled cheese. She taught Sophie the names of every bird in the backyard. I did not know it then, but that binder would become the most important document in my life. More important than my degree. More important than our marriage certificate. More important than the IPO filing I would sign 5 years later. Year 5, 15 employees. A real office with a sign on the door and a conference room with a whiteboard that was not from Goodwill. Compliance Corps was growing. Not fast, not flashy, but steady. The kind of growth that does not make headlines but pays salaries and keeps the lights on. Marcus still coded. He refused to become the kind of CEO who stopped building the product. Most mornings, he was at his desk by 6:30, headphones on, deep in architecture problems that I did not pretend to understand. I handled everything else: cash flow, vendor contracts, quarterly projections. The company was his vision. The numbers were mine. We bought our first house that year. A craftsman bungalow in the Selwood neighborhood of Portland. 3 bedrooms, original hardwood, a backyard with a plum tree the twins claimed as their fort. I remember signing the mortgage papers and thinking, this is ours. Nobody gave us this. We built it. Liam started kindergarten. Sophie started kindergarten. They rode the same bus and sat in the same row and argued about who got the window seat. Normal. Beautifully, painfully normal. On a Tuesday night in October, I made the mistake of checking Facebook. Diane had posted a family photo from what looked like a Thanksgiving preview dinner. New dining set, Paige and her husband, a baby in a high chair. Paige's son, my nephew. I had never met him. Caption, my whole world. 3 people in the photo, a baby, a table, a family that did not include me or my children or the man I married. I closed the app, went to bed. Did not cry. I had stopped crying about Diane Archer somewhere around year 3. Some wounds do not heal. They just go numb. Paige got married in year 6. I learned about it from Instagram. The photos were beautiful. White church. The same Baptist church where I got baptized at 12. 200 guests. Paige in a cathedral-length veil. Mom in lavender. Dad in a new suit I had never seen before. The reception had a live band, a 5-tier cake, and a sparkler send-off that looked like a movie. They did not invite me. They did not tell me. I found out 4 days after the wedding when a friend from high school posted a group shot with the caption, "Best wedding of the year." I zoomed in. My parents were in the second row, smiling, arms around each other. Dad looked thinner. Mom looked exactly the same. I stared at that photo for a long time, not because I was jealous of the wedding. I had my wedding. 12 people, Thai food, a $160 dress, and the best man I have ever known. I stared because they looked happy. And they looked happy without me. I did something I probably should not have done. I ordered a set of handmade linen napkins from a shop in Portland. Ivory, monogrammed with Paige's new initials. I wrote a card. "Congratulations on your wedding. I wish you and your husband every happiness. Love, Iris." The package came back 3 weeks later. Unopened. I could see the tape was untouched. Item 17. Gift return. Paige's wedding. Red pen. Dated. I put the binder back in the drawer. Closed it. Sat at my desk and listened to Sophie singing in the bath and Liam arguing with Marcus about whether dinosaurs could swim. That was my family. Right there. In the next room. And they were enough. Year 7 changed the trajectory. Compliance Corps landed its Series B, $12 million from a venture capital firm in San Francisco. I remember the phone call. Marcus was in the kitchen making pancakes for the twins. His phone rang. He listened, nodded, hung up, turned to me and said, "They said yes." I did the math before the pancakes were done. $12 million in funding. Post-money valuation of $68 million. Marcus and I still held 22%. We were not rich. Not yet. But the numbers were heading somewhere I had only ever modeled in spreadsheets. I left my analyst job that month and joined Compliance Corps full-time as CFO. It was the first time my name was on the company paperwork next to his. We were partners. In everything. We moved to a bigger house. A 4-bedroom colonial in Lake Oswego, 15 minutes south of Portland. Good schools. Quiet neighborhood. A kitchen with an island where the twins did homework while I reviewed quarterly reports on the other end. The Series B made a small splash in the press. TechCrunch ran a 4-paragraph piece. 2 fintech newsletters mentioned it. Nothing major. The kind of coverage that people in the industry noticed and everyone else scrolled past. But someone in Millfield, Ohio did not scroll past. 2 weeks after the TechCrunch article, a friend from high school texted me, "Hey, kind of random, but your mom asked me about your husband's company at church on Sunday. She wanted to know what Series B meant. Just thought you should know." I read that text 3 times. Mom had not spoken my name in 7 years. She did not know what Series B meant, but she wanted to. The math was changing, and Diane Archer was paying attention. That same year, I sent what I knew would be my last birthday card. I had sent one every year. 7 straight years, 7 returned. Each one filed, each one labeled. But this time, I tucked something extra inside. A photo of Liam and Sophie at their school's fall festival. Matching flannels. Face paint. Liam was missing his 2 front teeth. Sophie was grinning so wide her eyes were almost shut. On the back of the photo, I wrote, "They ask about you sometimes. I tell them you live far away." I sealed the envelope, mailed it, expected the usual. Red stamp, 11 days, back in the mailbox. It came back in 9 days. But something was different. The envelope had been opened. The flap was creased, the glue resealed with a strip of clear tape. I held it up to the light. The card was inside. The photo was inside. But someone had taken them out, looked at them, and put them back. Carefully. Deliberately. Then sent it back. I sat at the kitchen table and turned that envelope over in my hands for a long time. Someone in that house, Dad, I was almost certain, had opened the card, had looked at his grandchildren's faces, had held the photo, and then someone else, Mom, I was certain, had made him put it back and return it. He wanted to keep it. She would not let him. Item 23. Birthday card. Opened and resealed. Photo viewed. Still returned. I wrote the label with a steadier hand than I expected. Because I had suspected for years that Dad was not the architect of this silence. He was the enforcer. Mom was the architect. And the blueprint was simple. If she could not control who I loved, she would erase me from the family entirely. Year 8. Compliance Corps was growing faster than either of us expected. 80 employees, offices in Portland and Austin, a partnership with 2 of the largest accounting firms in the Pacific Northwest. Marcus was on the cover of a regional business magazine, small print run, local distribution, but his face was on a glossy cover with the headline, "The Quiet Disruptor." I noticed strange activity on my LinkedIn that month. Someone from Millfield, Ohio had viewed my profile 3 times in 1 week. No name visible, a private browser or a burner account. But the location was right there. Millfield, Ohio. Then Forbes ran its annual Companies to Watch list. Compliance Corps made it. Number 47 out of 50. Small mention. 2 sentences. But it was Forbes. I did not think much about the LinkedIn views until a few weeks later when Marcus was invited to guest on a fintech podcast. The episode was 45 minutes, mostly technical. Compliance automation, API integrations, federal reporting standards. Not exactly viral content. But 3 days after it aired, my old friend from Ohio texted again. Your mom told Linda at church that she always knew Marcus was smart. Direct quote. Linda said Diane sounded proud. First time she has mentioned your name in years. Always knew Marcus was smart. 7 years of silence, and now she always knew. I did not add that to the binder. It was not a document. It was hearsay. But I wrote it on a post-it and stuck it to the inside cover because I wanted to remember the moment Diane Archer started rewriting history. She was not proud of Marcus. She was not even sorry. She was recalculating. The numbers were getting bigger. And my mother was an accountant of a different kind. The group chat arrived on a Monday. My friend from Ohio, Tess, the one who kept me in the loop about church gossip, called me at 7 in the evening. She sounded rattled. Iris. Paige accidentally added me to a family group chat. I think she meant to add someone else with a similar number. I was in it for 3 days before they noticed and removed me. I took screenshots. She sent them. 7 screenshots. 3 days of unfiltered Archer family conversation. I read them in the parking lot of Liam's soccer practice. Paige. His company was valued at $68 million last round. I have been tracking the funding filings. If they IPO, we are looking at $300 million minimum. Diane. How do we approach this? She will not listen to me. Kenneth. Maybe I should call first. Feel her out. Diane. No, I need to go in person, with a plan. A real plan. Paige. Make a list. Be specific about what we need. She is a numbers person. She will respond to numbers. Diane. How much should we ask for? Paige. Start with the mortgage, then medical, then retirement. College for my son. Monthly support. Layer it. Make it look like family investment, not a request. Kenneth. This does not feel right. Diane. Kenneth. She has more money than this entire town. She can afford to help her family. Kenneth did not reply after that. I sat in my car with the engine off. The dashboard clock read 7:22. Through the windshield, I could see Liam running across the field, chasing a ball twice the size of his head. My hands were shaking. Not from sadness. From clarity. 9 years of silence. 9 years of returned birthday cards and ignored grandchildren and a cream-colored letter that said, "Do not walk back through our door." And now that the numbers had changed, they wanted to approach with a plan. I drove home, printed the screenshots, filed them. Item 26. Family group chat. Financial tracking. Reconnaissance confirmed. If this story is hitting close to home, if you have ever had someone cut you off and come running back when the numbers changed, drop a comment. Tell me, because I think more of us carry this than we admit. And while you are here, subscribe if you have not yet. I told Marcus that night after the kids were asleep. I showed him the screenshots. He read them once, slowly, the way he reads code, line by line, looking for bugs. When he finished, he set the phone on the counter and stared at the wall for a long time. What do you want to do? Nothing. Yet. But I want to be ready. He nodded. That was Marcus. He did not tell me what to feel. He did not suggest we ignore it or confront it or anything in between. He asked what I wanted, and then he stood next to me while I figured it out. The next morning, I called a family attorney. Not to sue. Not to file anything. I wanted to understand our position. What were our rights if Diane showed up? Could she make any legal claim to our assets? To the children? The attorney, a woman named Grace, mid-50s, no nonsense, walked me through it in 20 minutes. No, Diane had no legal standing. Our trusts were structured to protect the children's assets. No grandparent visitation rights in Oregon without an existing relationship, and 9 years of documented estrangement made any claim laughable. I thanked Grace, hung up, went to work. But I also did something else that week. I drafted a letter. Did not send it. Just wrote it out. Longhand at the kitchen table after midnight. In it, I listed every item in the binder. Every date. Every returned card. Every ignored call. Every screenshot. 26 items. Dated. Documented. Ready. Year 9. The IPO conversation started in January. Investment bankers flew to Portland. We had 3 rounds of meetings in our conference room. The one with the whiteboard that was still from Goodwill, though nobody needed to know that. They reviewed our financials, our growth projections, our customer retention rate. They used words like roadshow and pricing range and lockup period. Marcus handled the product pitch. I handled the numbers. Every slide, every projection, every risk disclosure. My name was on it. CFO, co-founder, the person who signed off on every SEC filing before it left the building. The process took 7 months. 7 months of due diligence, legal review, investor meetings. Marcus barely slept. I barely ate. The twins started noticing. Liam asked why Dad kept talking to his laptop at dinner, and Sophie drew a picture of me at my desk with a speech bubble that said, "One more email." In August, our attorney finalized the trust structure for Liam and Sophie. 2 irrevocable trusts, funded, protected. Nobody, not Diane, not Kenneth, not Paige, not any future version of any Archer who showed up with a list, could touch a dollar. I signed the trust documents on a Tuesday afternoon in a corner office overlooking the Willamette River. The attorney asked if I had any questions. I had one. If a family member attempts to claim access to these funds, what happens? Nothing, she said. That is the point. I went home, made dinner, helped Sophie with long division, put the trust documents in the fire safe under our bed. Then I noticed something odd. For the first time in months, no one from Millfield had viewed my LinkedIn. No texts from Tess about church gossip. No digital footprints at all. Quiet. The dangerous kind. 2 months before the IPO, Paige texted me. First time in 9 years. The message arrived at 2:17 on a Thursday afternoon. Hey, just thinking about you. How are the kids? 6 words. 9 years. And, how are the kids? As if she had been asking regularly, as if this was a continuation of something instead of a resurrection. I did not reply for a week. I wanted to see if she would follow up. She did. A second text. I am going to be in Portland for work next month. Would love to see you. Marcus said, "It is your call." I agreed to meet her. Not at our house. At a cafe in the Pearl District. Public, neutral, time limited. Paige showed up 15 minutes late in a blazer and ankle boots. She looked like she had practiced being casual. She hugged me too long. She said, "You look amazing," 3 times in the first 10 minutes. Then she started asking questions. How big was our house? Did the kids go to private school? What neighborhood did we live in? Was Marcus still running the company or had he stepped back? How many employees now? Had they raised more money recently? 32 questions. I counted. None of them were, "I am sorry." Halfway through our lattes, I noticed something in the reflection of the cafe window. Paige had her phone angled toward the parking lot. She was photographing my car, a white Tesla Model Y that Marcus bought me for my birthday. She was scouting, cataloging, building a report. I let her finish her latte. I answered her questions. Vaguely, politely, the way you answer a bank teller's small talk. When we hugged goodbye, she held on too long again. She ordered a latte and asked 32 questions. I counted. The only question she did not ask was the only one that mattered. After the cafe, I drove straight home and opened the binder. Item 28. Page reconnaissance visit. Date, red pen, notes, 32 questions documented. Photographed vehicle, no apology offered, no mention of past estrangement. Then I called Grace, the family attorney, for the second time. They are coming, I told her. My mother. Probably within weeks of the IPO. She will bring demands. Grace asked what kind of demands. I told her about the group chat, the screenshots, Paige's instructions to layer it, and Make it look like family investment. Grace was quiet for a moment. You have documentation? I have a binder. How thorough? 28 items. Dated. Sourced. 9 years. Another pause. Iris, you do not need me for this. You need me for the legal structure, the trusts, the estate separation. That is already done. What you are describing is not a legal confrontation. It is a personal one. And for that, you just need to decide what you are willing to say. She was right. This was not about lawyers. This was about a woman who showed up at my door because the numbers changed, and whether I was going to let her rewrite 9 years of silence into a story about a misunderstanding. I sat at my desk that night and pulled out the letter I had drafted months ago, the one listing every item in the binder. I read it. Then I put it back in the drawer. I did not need a letter. I had the binder itself. 28 items. 9 years. Every returned card. Every ignored voicemail. Every screenshot. Every piece of evidence that my family had erased me. Not because I did something wrong, but because I loved someone they refused to accept. The binder would speak for itself. Compliance Corps went public on a Wednesday in October. Marcus and I stood on the floor of the NASDAQ in New York, him in a charcoal suit, me in a navy blazer, and watched the stock open at $18 a share. By noon, it hit 20. By close, 22. Market cap, $440 million. Marcus and I held 10%. Net worth on paper, $44 million. $44 million. I did not know what to do with that number. It did not feel real. It felt like a spreadsheet cell that someone had typed wrong. Too many zeros. Check the formula. But the zeros were right. I had checked the formula. That was literally my job. TechCrunch ran a feature. Forbes called for a comment. Bloomberg put Marcus's face in a sidebar. A local Portland news station did a 3-minute segment. Local couples fintech startup hits NASDAQ. They showed our company photo. 2 founders. Side by side. Equal. Marcus and I celebrated with room service sushi in our hotel room overlooking Times Square. Liam and Sophie were back in Portland with Cora, who had flown in for the week. Marcus fell asleep on the couch at 9:15, still wearing his suit jacket. I stayed up. Not because of the IPO, because of what I knew was coming next. I checked my phone. 5 missed calls. Area code 740. Millfield, Ohio. 3 calls from a number I did not recognize. 1 from Kenneth. 1 from Diane. I did not call back. I set the phone face down on the nightstand and stared at the ceiling. 9 years. $44 million. And suddenly, Iris Archer was worth knowing again. I went to sleep with my hand over the phone, as if it might ring again. It would. Kenneth's voicemail arrived the next morning while I was brushing my teeth. His voice was thinner than I remembered. Older. The cadence was the same. Slow, careful, a man who measured words like lumber. But something underneath had shifted. There was a crack in it. Baby girl, I saw you on the news. You and Marcus on the stock exchange floor. I did not know what to say, so I am calling. I am proud of you. I have always been. A long pause. Breathing. Your mother wants to talk. She has things she wants to discuss. Please call her back when you can. I love you, Iris. I played it 3 times. Baby girl. He had not called me that since I was 14. And I am proud of you. 4 words I had waited a decade to hear. But then I rewound. Listened again. Listened to the structure of it. He called after the IPO. Not after the wedding. Not after the twins were born. Not after any of the 7 birthday cards or the ultrasound photos or the birth announcements. After the IPO. He was proud of me on paper. He had always been proud of me on paper. What he had never been was brave enough to pick up the phone when there were no millions attached to the call. He is not one of us, Iris. He never will be. I heard Mom's voice, but it was Dad who enforced the silence. He could have called any day, any year. He chose this one, the one with 44 million reasons to reconnect. I saved the voicemail. I did not add it to the binder. It was too sad for the binder. Instead, I sat on the hotel bathroom floor and let myself feel it. All of it. For about 4 minutes. Then I got up and packed my suitcase. We had a flight to catch. Diane's text arrived 2 days after we got home from New York. It was long, carefully composed. No typos, no autocorrect errors, no casual abbreviations. This was a draft. She had written it, edited it, probably read it aloud to herself in the mirror. Iris, I know we have lost time. I think about you and the children every day. Life is short, and I have learned that some things matter more than the differences that divide us. I would like to talk about the future, about the children, about what it means to be a family. There are things that families should share. I believe we can find a way forward if you are willing. I read it twice, counted the words. 63, carefully chosen. And not one of them was sorry. Not one of them was, I was wrong. Not one of them acknowledged that she had disowned me for marrying a man whose skin was a different shade than hers. Not one of them mentioned the returned birthday cards, the ignored grandchildren, the 9 years of weaponized silence. She wrote, "The differences that divide us," as if our estrangement was a philosophical disagreement instead of a woman who told her daughter, "He is not one of us," and returned 7 years of birthday cards unopened. I did not reply. I screenshotted the text, printed it, opened the binder. Item 29. First text from Diane in 9 years. 63 words. 0 apology. Red pen. Dated. I closed the binder, put it back in the bottom drawer, sat at my desk and looked at the framed photo next to my monitor. Marcus and me and the twins at Cannon Beach. All 4 of us squinting into the sun, Liam on Marcus's shoulders, Sophie holding my hand. That was my answer. Right there, in the frame. Tess called on a Friday. Paige is telling everyone that she visited you in Portland. She is saying you live in a mansion. Her words. She is telling people Marcus struck gold and that you drive a Tesla, and the kids go to a private school. I leaned against the kitchen counter. Half of that is wrong. It is not a mansion, and the kids go to public school. Iris, that is not the point. Your mom is planning a trip. Paige told Linda at the salon that Diane is going to Portland next week. She is packing a suitcase. I closed my eyes. I know. How? Because Paige counted every room in that cafe and photographed my car. Silence on the other end. Then, what are you going to do? I am going to open the door. Tess sounded surprised. You are going to let her in? I am going to let her talk. And then I am going to show her what I have been keeping in the bottom drawer of my desk for 9 years. I hung up and stood in my kitchen, the kitchen with the island where Sophie did homework, and Liam built Lego towers, and Marcus made pancakes on Sunday mornings. Cora's photo was on the fridge, next to the twins' field trip picture. Grammy Cora, the only grandmother they had ever known. Diane was coming. I had known it since the group chat. Since the Series B, since the LinkedIn views and the church gossip and Paige's 32 questions at the cafe. The numbers had changed, and Diane Archer was coming to collect. But I was not the same girl who left Millfield at 18 with a scholarship and a mother's card that said, "Come home soon." I was a CFO, a mother, a woman with a binder, and I was ready. The irony was not lost on me. In Millfield, news traveled through the Baptist church the way water traveled through limestone, slowly, everywhere, impossible to stop. When I married Marcus, the Whisper Network had done its work in 48 hours. Diane Archer's daughter married someone who was not like us. The women on the prayer chain clucked their tongues. The men at the diner shook their heads. And Diane had used that social pressure like a weapon. She disowned me partly because she could not bear the whispers. Now the whispers had reversed. Tess told me. Linda at the salon told Tess. The church organist told Linda. Iris Archer's husband was on NASDAQ. Iris Archer was a CFO. Iris Archer was worth $44 million. And Diane Archer, the woman who ran the Easter brunch and coordinated the prayer chain, had disowned her own daughter 9 years ago for marrying him. People were not whispering anymore. They were asking questions. To Diane's face. You must be so proud. When did you last visit the grandkids? Are you going out to Portland for the holidays? And Diane had to smile through every single one, because admitting the truth, that she had cut off her firstborn for loving someone she refused to accept, would destroy the carefully curated image she had spent a decade building. The same town that let her cut me off was now asking her why. Diane could not tell them she was estranged from her daughter without admitting she was the one who drew the line, and she could not pretend everything was fine without someone inevitably asking, "Then where was Iris at Christmas?" The pressure was flipping, and Diane Archer, the woman who wielded social pressure like a scalpel, was now the one being cut. She arrived on a Tuesday at 10:14 in the morning. I know the exact time because I was standing at the kitchen window, drying a mug, and I watched the taxi pull up. She got out slowly. Beige cardigan, black slacks, the same pearl studs she had worn to church every Sunday since I was a girl. A carry-on suitcase, small, worn at the corners. She stood on the sidewalk for a full 30 seconds before she walked up the path. I watched her look at the house, the craftsman details, the porch swing, the garden beds Marcus had planted in the spring. She took it in the way a real estate appraiser would, evaluating. The doorbell rang. I opened the door. We stood 3 feet apart. She looked older, more gray in her hair, lines around her mouth that had not been there 9 years ago. Her eyes, the same shade of green as mine, were already damp. Iris. Mom. A silence. 4 seconds. I came to talk about the children's future. Not, I came because I missed you. Not, I came because I was wrong. Not even, I came because I love you. I came to talk about the children's future. The children she had never met. The children whose photos she returned in sealed envelopes. The children, Paige said, did not have real grandparents. I looked at the suitcase, looked at the folded piece of paper in her right hand. Come in. I did not lead her to the living room. I led her to the kitchen. The kitchen had a table. It had good light. It had the fridge with Cora's photo and the twins' artwork, and a world map where Sophie marked every country she wanted to visit someday. The kitchen was where truth lived in this house, and truth was what we were about to have. She sat at the table. I poured 2 glasses of water. No coffee. Coffee was for people who were staying. She looked around the kitchen. Her eyes landed on the fridge, on Cora's photo, Grammy Cora holding Liam and Sophie on her lap at the beach, all 3 of them laughing. Diane stared at it for 5 seconds. Something crossed her face. I could not tell if it was guilt or jealousy. Then she unfolded the paper. Her handwriting, blue ink, 5 bullet points, each one neat, deliberate, the product of what must have been hours of calculation. She read them aloud. Retirement fund for your father and me, $500,000. I said nothing. College fund for Paige's son, Thomas, $200,000. Nothing. Medical expenses, your father's knee surgery, $45,000. Nothing. Mortgage payoff, the family home, $180,000. Nothing. Monthly support, $3,000. She folded the paper, placed it on the table between us, looked at me. This is what families do, Iris. Your father worked his whole life. He sacrificed for you, for both of you. It is time to give back. I stared at the list. $925,000. Itemized, calculated, presented like an invoice. Not once during the reading did she mention my name with the word sorry. Not once did she acknowledge that she was sitting in a house she had never visited, asking for money from grandchildren she had never held. Her children don't have real grandparents. That is what she chose. Paige's words, echoing. I picked up the list, read each line one more time, folded it, set it down. Then I stood up and walked to my office. The bottom drawer was exactly where I left it. Bottom drawer, under the tax folders, behind the old insurance documents. I pulled out the binder. Navy blue, 3-ring, heavy, the kind of weight that comes from 9 years of documentation. I carried it back to the kitchen, set it on the table, right next to the folded list of demands. 2 documents. Hers. 1 page, 5 bullets, $925,000. Mine. 29 items, 9 years, 0 apologies received. Diane looked at the binder. What is that? You brought a list, Mom. I sat down, placed my hands flat on the table. I brought one too. She stared at the binder, at the red pen labels visible through the clear cover, at the thickness of it. Almost 3 inches of tabs and documents and printed screenshots and returned birthday cards in their original envelopes. I do not understand. You will. I opened the binder to tab 1, year 1, and I started reading. I did not raise my voice. I did not cry. I did not perform. I read the way I read quarterly reports to the board, factual, organized, item by item, 9 years of receipts, documented, dated, every returned card, every ignored voicemail, every screenshot, every piece of proof that Diane Archer had systematically erased her firstborn daughter from the family, not because I did something wrong, but because I loved someone she refused to accept. The binder was not revenge. It was not a weapon. It was a record. And records do not negotiate. They do not argue. They do not forgive or condemn. They just tell the truth. And I had 9 years of truth to share. Tab 1. Year 1. I pulled out the first item. A birthday card in a white envelope. Red stamp across the front. Return to sender. Still sealed. I placed it on the table. Item 1. Birthday card. Mailed September 12th, 2017. Returned September 23rd. Diane's eyes widened. I pulled out the second item. Another envelope. Same stamp. Item 2. Wedding photo. Mailed June 14th, 2017. Returned June 25th. A third. Item 3. Christmas card. Mailed December 8th, 2017. Returned December 21st. I laid them out one by one. Slowly. The way you lay out evidence in an audit. No commentary, no emotion, just documents arranged in chronological order. Diane's mouth opened, then closed. She stared at the growing row of envelopes on the table. White rectangles with red stamps, each one a door I had tried to open and she had slammed shut. These are the birthday cards I sent you, every year, for 9 years. Every single one came back. Iris, I am not finished. I moved to tab 2. Year 2. 3 more items. A voicemail transcript. My words. Printed from a transcription app. Stapled to a note with the date and time. An unanswered call log. A Facebook screenshot. Diane's My Whole World post. No Iris, no Marcus, no grandchildren. Item 4. Voicemail to you. January 7th, 2018. Duration, 47 seconds. No callback. Diane pressed her fingers to her lips. Her eyes were wet. Item 5. Text from Dad. February 12th, 2018. 4 words. Your mother needs time. I set the printout on the table. It has been 9 years, Mom. How much more time did you need? The tears came. I expected them. Diane covered her face with both hands and made the sound I had heard 1,000 times growing up, the controlled, theatrical cry she used when she wanted sympathy without surrendering dignity. It was the same cry she used when Dad forgot their anniversary. The same cry she used when the church did not choose her casserole for the potluck finals. I was hurt, Iris. You chose him over us. You left. I did not leave. You told me not to come back. That is not... I was upset. People say things when they are upset. I flipped to tab 4. Year 4. Pulled out a printout. Item 16. Text from Paige to a mutual friend. Forwarded to me. March 9th, 2021. I read it aloud. Slowly. Her children don't have real grandparents. That is what she chose. Diane flinched. Paige did not mean... This is Paige's exact text, word for word. I flipped to the last tab. The screenshots. 7 pages. The group chat. Item 26. Family group chat. Screenshots provided by a mutual friend who was accidentally added. October 4th, 2025. I read Paige's message. Make a list. Be specific about what we need. She is a numbers person. She will respond to numbers. Then Diane's. She has more money than this entire town. She can afford to help her family. Diane's face changed. The theatrical tears dried up. Something harder surfaced. Something I recognized. The same expression she wore when Paige broke the good china and blamed it on the dog. Anger. Not guilt. Anger. You had no right to read that. I looked at her. Level. Steady. You had no right to return my children's photos. The kitchen went silent. I reached for one specific item. Tab 5. Year 7. The envelope was slightly different from the others. Same white paper. Same red stamp. But the flap was creased. The glue had been cut and resealed with a thin strip of clear tape. I held it up. Item 23. Birthday card. Year 7. Inside this card was a photo of Liam and Sophie at their school fall festival. On the back, I wrote, "They ask about you sometimes. I tell them you live far away." I set the envelope on the table. This card was opened. Someone looked at their photo, looked at their faces, then sealed it back up and sent it back. Diane's jaw tightened. Who opened it, Mom? Nothing. Dad opened it. He wanted to keep it. And you made him send it back. Diane's hands were flat on the table now. Her eyes were on the envelope, on the tape. She whispered something so quiet I almost missed it. I was afraid. I waited. If I let him keep it, if I let any of it in, I would have had to admit I was wrong, that I lost 9 years for nothing, that I pushed away my grandchildren because I was too proud to. She stopped, swallowed. For 1 second, maybe 2. I saw something real in her face, not performance, not manipulation, actual fear, the kind that lives under anger for so long it forgets how to come out any other way. Then it was gone. Her chin lifted, her posture stiffened. But you left us, Iris. You made your choice. The moment of honesty evaporated like steam off a coffee cup, gone before I could hold it. I placed Diane's list of demands on the left side of the table. I placed the binder on the right. 2 documents, side by side. Your list. $925,000. 5 bullet points. No apology. I tapped the binder. My list. 29 items. 9 years of silence. 9 years of returned birthday cards and ignored grandchildren and a daughter you erased because she married the wrong man. Diane's nostrils flared. I did not erase. You told the church I abandoned you. You told Paige to tell our friends that my children did not have real grandparents. You tracked my husband's company for months and came to my door with an itemized invoice. I closed the binder. The metal rings clicked shut. You did not come here because you missed me, Mom. You came here because the numbers changed. Diane stood up. The chair scraped against the tile. After everything we did for you growing up, the food, the clothes, the school supplies, this is how you repay us? You raised me. That is not a debt. That is what parents do. We gave you everything. You gave me a card that said, "Come home soon." Then you told me not to come back. She had no answer for that. I could see her searching, scanning through her mental Rolodex of guilt trips and emotional leverage, and finding nothing that fit. You said he was not one of us. But for 9 years, his mother was the only grandmother my children had. The words hung in the kitchen like smoke. She heard them. I watched them land. She had nothing left to say. The garage door rumbled. Marcus walked into the kitchen through the laundry room, keys in one hand, laptop bag over his shoulder. He saw Diane. He saw the binder on the table. He saw me. He did not speak. He set his bag on the counter, walked to where I was sitting, put his hand on my shoulder, sat down next to me. That was it. No words, no confrontation, no dramatic entrance. Just a man sitting next to his wife because she needed him there. Diane looked at Marcus, the man she had refused to accept 9 years ago. He wore a flannel shirt and running shoes and a watch that cost less than her pearl studs. There was nothing flashy about him. Nothing that announced $44 million. He was just a man. A good man. A father. A husband. And he was right here, hand on my shoulder, saying everything without opening his mouth. Diane stared at his hand, at my shoulder, at the space between us that held no tension, no performance, no need for words. She understood. I did not need the Archer family. I had already built my own. I spoke quietly. The way you deliver a final number on a balance sheet. Factual, complete, no revision pending. Mom, I will not give you money. She opened her mouth. I continued. Not because I cannot afford it, because the moment I hand you a check, you will believe you were right to stay away until it was profitable to come back. You will tell yourself, and you will tell Paige, that this is what family does, that the silence was a misunderstanding, that the 9 years were just a rough patch. I picked up her list, held it out. They were not a rough patch. They were a choice. Your choice. Every returned card, every ignored voicemail, every photo of your grandchildren that you looked at and sent back. She did not take the list. It hung in the air between us. If you want to know your grandchildren, really know them, not as a line item on a financial plan, that starts with an apology, not to me, to them. And it does not start today. It starts when you are ready to mean it. Diane took the list, picked up her suitcase, walked to the front door. She stopped, turned around, opened her mouth, closed it, walked out. The door clicked shut. Not a slam. A click. The sound of someone leaving who knew she had lost something she could not buy back. If someone showed up in your life only after the numbers changed, I need to hear your story. Drop it in the comments. And if this video reminded you that your worth is not a dollar amount, share it with someone who needs to hear that. 2 weeks passed. Marcus and I did not talk about Diane much. Not because we were avoiding it, because there was not much left to say. She had come with a list. I had shown her a binder. She had left without apologizing. The math was settled. The twins did not know she had visited.